Hello everybody. Thought I'd do an update with you guys about things all around the homestead. We've gotten the new chicks, I believe I've shown that. And someone's making noise over there. I've also moved the former chicks that we've had that were hatched here on the farm. I've moved them from their brooder house into the coop. So I'll just take you in there and show you how they're doing. And I'll take you on a tour of our greenhouse so you can see what's happening inside the greenhouse. So let's go take a look. So here are our radishes. You can see they've got some good growth on them. Let's see, might even find some, oh yep, see? There's a little bulb that's been growing. Oh, there's another one there too. Ooh, that one looks ready to pick maybe. Ah, the ground is frozen. Yeah, that didn't come out. So, yeah, those are the radishes. I'll bring you over here and show you the lettuce. And these are more radish that have popped up, growing over here. And our lettuce is looking pretty sad. Yeah, you can see it. Got a little frozen there. And the carrots seem to be doing okay though. I think they'll survive. These definitely look like they might be some purple carrots. You can see the purple down at the bottom. So, yeah. These are how the carrots are doing. And of course our tart over here is doing fine. Just fine. So, taking you on a little tour of what we've had growing in our greenhouse, and you might have noticed a thing or two. I'm not actually in the greenhouse. Yeah, there was an incident. We had a very, very, very windy day, and you know from previous videos that I've shown you, we've already been having issues with this particular greenhouse. We'd gotten it up and hadn't tied it down, and winds came up and flipped it over. And I was able to rescue it to some degree and got it tied down and usable. And then we had more winds come up, and I never showed the damage from that. But it was tied down good, but this side over on here was pretty caved in from the poles breaking in the wind. And tried to salvage it again, and then the winds came again. Wasn't doing so good, and so I was ready to just leave it. My dad has come to visit, and he decided he was going to help fix it, so he got some wooden dowels and just stuck them inside the poles that had broken off from each other, and was getting it back in shape. Well, then we had 50-mile-per-hour gust winds come up, so yeah. This is what my greenhouse looks like now. So I've never really done my review on this greenhouse, and I have to say, I just cannot recommend it enough. In fact, I can't recommend it at all. And I'll put a link. I got it from Amazon, and I'll see if I can find the link and put it down below so you guys can go check it out and know which greenhouse not to get. Now, if you don't live in a windy area, this might be a nice greenhouse to get, but not for anywhere where there's substantial winds at all. So we'll go take a closer look at the damage, and we don't have a greenhouse anymore. So the night of the windstorm, I knew it was pretty windy and that it was going to shake this around a lot, but I kind of heard this thud at one point from inside, and I looked out here, had to turn on my porch light so I could have a little bit more light to see, and I saw that there was the white greenhouse, the shade of it, but it wasn't just a little bit from down there, it was the whole length of it. And so I knew that it was a goner. I came out and just saw it. It's hanging over the fence, and even right over here it's actually impaled on the stake on the post there. And what I actually did is it was still attached to the poles over here with these things, and I felt that if another strong gust came up, that it would just catch underneath here and lift it up and over my fence, and then it'd be out in our pasture and bothering the horses, and if the winds were strong enough, maybe it'd end up in the neighbor's pasture. So I loosened it off of the poles so that it would just be plastic flapping in the wind and not be able to go farther off our property or whatever. So it is, however, laying on my garlic. I have a whole row of garlic going down that way, and it's sitting on top of it, and I hope it's not crushed it to the point of not being able to grow. That's my only row of garlic that has come up too, and none of my other rows have actually grown at all. So yeah, so that's the end of our winter gardening this year. Now I still have this little greenhouse here, and we have a little raised bed in there that there's some plants already still growing in there, so I can at least get a few things growing early this spring. So yeah, a little disappointing, but you live and learn. So yeah, you live and learn, and I just know that in the future, when I want a greenhouse for growing in the winter, it's going to need to be a more sturdy structure for sure. So let's go check out the chickens and see how they're doing in their new space. We had a nice sunny day a few days ago, a week ago or so, and I had let these chicks out of their brooder house into the pen that's around their area, and I was letting the other chickens free range, and I kind of opened the gate to their pen and thought, well, let's see how they do mixing with the other hens, with at least Mama here to protect them. So they seemed to do well, and I checked on them later in the day, and they were in the chicken yard with all the other chickens, and I thought, okay, well, let's move them over. So that night I came to check on them, and they hadn't come inside the coop at all. They were outside with Mama next to a fence, all curled up in her feathers. So I had to move them all inside. It was quite a chore to catch up on them, catch them all when it's dark outside. Ah, my door's closing, so my light's disappearing. Let me get that. There we go. Get some more light. So anyway, they're getting so big now. You can see our Polish hen back there, Eliza. We picked her up from the friend who gave us the baby chicks that we got. I've been checking these guys out to see who might be roosters and who might be hens. And I think, looking at their saddle feathers, I think that one's a female. Oh, Mama, get out of the way. So I think, she is a female. That one right there might be a male. The barred rock might also be a male, but I'm not completely sure. And the black one, I can't see the feathers well enough to tell, but I think is a female. So when you're looking at the saddle feathers, that's the feathers right here on their lower back. And you can see on her, get you up close here, they're kind of shorter and rounded on the ends. On a rooster, those are kind of more spindly and pointed. So that's what I'm looking at when I'm trying to decide if it's a male or a female. Because otherwise I can't tell yet until one starts crowing early. So, he's got, oh, come on. He's got some funny feathers sticking up around his head. Hard to tell. Anyway, that's the update on these chickens. They're in the enclosed side from the other chickens, just kind of letting them get used to being around the whole flock for now. So here's a little update on the baby chicks that we have. Since I've last shown them to you, they've gotten a lot more hoppy. Sorry, I'm chasing them down here. Okay. And they panicked for a minute there. Okay. So, since I last showed them to you, I had 13 last time. And my friend who gave them to me, she had one who had just hatched and another one that was in progress, and she dropped those off the other day. So I just wanted to show you which ones they were. Nope, stay in here. Stay. It's this one right here. Oopsie. That was the one that was already hatched. Hello, okay. And then this one is a little teeny tiny fella. Lady, whatever you want to call her. This is the one that was having trouble getting hatching. And we think it's a silkie, but we're not sure. She's so much smaller than the others. And this one right here I think might be a rooster pecking my... Look at how defensive he is, or she is. He's pecking my finger. Yeah. Woo! This one's looking that way too. Anyway, I had something scary happen with this little fella. I came in to check on him, and he was flipped over on his back right there with his feet up into the air, and there were other chicks just standing on him, standing over him, and he looked like he had been dunked in the water and had gotten cold, and he was just laying there. Okay, I'm going to put it partially back on. Okay. So, anyway, I was scared he was dead, but or she, I'll call her a she. Try to call them all she's until we know for sure. So I picked her up, and she seemed, well, she was alive, obviously, because we still have her today. But she seemed a little cold, and so I held her in my hand for a while up in front of the heater, and she couldn't stand on her own. She was just kind of flopped back on her behind. And so I put her in her own little tub for a while and gave her her own food and water, and she just would have been trampled on by these other chicks if I had left her in here. So by the next day she was doing a lot better. She had popped herself up against the side of the bin, and by the next day she was pretty much back to normal. I started putting her back in with the other chicks when I was in here to supervise, and then one day she just seemed, probably about the fourth day, she just seemed capable enough. I put her in there and left her in there, and then just checked on her later that night, and she was doing fine. And she's just running around with the rest of them now. So she's petite, but if she is a silkie, silkies are smaller chickens. So anyway, that's the baby chicks. There's an update on the animals and on the greenhouse on our farm. We'll see you next time. I have an escapee. I was cleaning out the water dish, and this little girl jumped out. Ah! Now I have to try to catch her. This will be fun. Come here, baby chickie. Come here. No, that's not working. Okay. I guess I gotta go catch her. I caught her. I'm just loving her wings, though. Look at the little cream color on there. Just a little spot right there on the end. So pretty. Alright, back in you go with your... Focus on you. Back in you go with your little sisters and brother. Or brothers. Mostly sisters, right? All right. Bye-bye.